Casting Court TV. It's your girl, Miss Public Info, here with the latest and greatest on all of your high-profile cases of choice. Now, today was the much anticipated sentencing conference for Sean P. Diddy Combs, because his team is seeking an expedited sentencing date for him. Now, I don't think that the expedited sentencing date is going to happen. Now, I'll tell you what happened. It's very short, clean cut, and to the point. The judge didn't take the bench, I don't believe. This was all a remote thing. They were up on the 24th floor. The press and public were in a separate room other than the room that all this was happening. Agnifilio was there. I'm not sure if the government was there, but Agnifilio had a letter that he presented to the court, which basically says, hey, we are proposing X, Y, and Z. We've already talked to the government about this. The government is fine with it. We're proposing that, we have the Department of Probation does their pre-sentencing report by August 29th. And therefore, the government and the defense will have such and such dates and time frames to have their, rebuttals or their objections of the PSR, which is the pre-sentencing report. And we have time to review it and say, we don't like this, we don't like that, and give our arguments. And then given a time frame for the probation department to have their final report ready to go and given to the judge. Now, they're saying, basically, the defense is saying that the latest the prosecution would have until September 26th to bring in their, potential objections or their, any arguments that they want to give, oppositions to the pre-sentencing report or any of the I cannot even speak, the memorandum as it relates to the sentencing, right? So how far away is September 26th from October 3rd? Like days. So it just doesn't seem like they're going to get this expedited fast track date that they were hoping for. And the reason for that is probably has to do with the Department of Probation and the dates that they're available and how fast they're able to actually conduct an interview with Combs. Remember, in order to proceed into the sentencing phase, the part of the process is having a recommendation from the Department of Probation in the sense of having a pre-sentencing report or pre-sentencing investigation that the judge actually looks at to sort of help guide his sentence. So in order for that to happen, the Department of Probation has to have time to conduct the interview. They have to have time to make any sort of, arguments that they want to make, and then give this to the defense and the prosecution teams, who each have to have time to review it and write in any oppositions that they want to write through, and then give it back to the Department of Probation, who then moves it on to the judge, who then considers it as he considers his final sentencing. So the expedited date, don't know if it's that expedited. I think he's going to be in there, pretty much the same amount of time that he was originally slated for. The judge's deputy came and after all of this happened and said, the judge will be responding via writing. So he'll put his decision and answer. He'll file it probably a week or so. Who knows? They didn't say, but usually that's the time frame for things like this. And he'll, say whether or not he's good with it or whatnot. So Judge Submaranian seemingly did not take the bench today. I'm not sure if Combs was on telecom. He could have been, but he definitely did not address the court. He did not say anything whatsoever. The government may or may not have been there as well, because they also did not say anything. And so there's nobody that was like in that room except that was allowed to be in that room, except for the defense and the prosecution, of course. So the counsel was allowed to be in the room, but not the actual, onlookers in the gallery and all of that. So we were able to hear what was happening, but we weren't able to see what was going on. So that's sort of what was going on there. That's how the hearing went. It was very quick. Administered Agnifilio presented the letter of to be considered that had already been proposed by the defense and the government, obviously the defense and the government have been working on this for a few days to come together to an agreement to present to the judge. And now it's in the judge's hands to see what he wants to do. Now that's it. I did a live and an episode, check it out, on this alt juror number 6 who lied in order to be on the Sean Combs jury. I want to make one correction. He does work for the United Nations and he is in counterterrorism. However, the United Nations is not a federal entity, so to speak. So me saying that he had a federal job is incorrect. It's the United Nations is an intergovernmental sort of place where they work with other countries, and they have offices all around the United States, and New York is one of the places. However, it does not change the price of tea in China of the fact that the guy lied, and the fact that the guy does come in contact with law enforcement on a daily basis. He works in counterterrorism, so he absolutely comes into contact with law enforcement. What I really want to know about the situation is if, in fact, and I know this is true because our guy Matthew Russell Lee said as much because he heard it and saw it with his own ears during voir dire. But what I want to know is if he said this to the prosecution, the defense, and the judge, and they know he works in counterterrorism at the United Nations, wouldn't they already know that he has contact with law enforcement? Like, wouldn't this be just like an obvious thing to them? Wouldn't they already know the answer to the question of, do you work alongside law enforcement? Like, that seems very curious to me, that's something that nobody pulled out. And even more curious that this guy is bold enough to be going out amongst the press and, sort of like doing a pay for play tour. Press tour is what he's doing essentially. It's really pretty crappy and sad. But anyway, guys, that's it for now. Oh, and before we go, I was like flipping through things, looking through some old magazines, and I told you guys I actually have subscribed to all these magazines back in the day. I know you guys have probably every magazine in town. I do as well. I have Essence, Ebony, Jet. My mom, she, collected them over the years. I mean, it is crazy. She's got every one of them. But I came across this one, guys. Remember this one? Sean Combs and Eve on the cover of Essence magazine. I mean, this just really took me back as I was reading it, as I was going through it. And I was saying, wow, this was Sean Combs in his heyday. So this is 2000 and I think this is 2002. This is Sean Combs during his heyday. I was 20 years old, guys. I mean, oh my God, a baby cat is what I was, a baby cat. And look at these two. Look at these two. I mean, they are worlds away. Look at Sean Combs. He is in his bag on this one. You hear me? In his bag. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Since we're talking about Sean Combs and all that, this is just like very interesting. And then on the inside of it, oh my gosh, he and Eve, they actually interview each other in this magazine. They talk about fashion. They talk about each other's lives, but mostly it's about fashion and hair. And he talks about how he loves for his, when women sort of dress a certain way. Eve is talking about her style. Here is this. I mean, they look just so great on this cover. Look at them. Now, this is definitely black excellence right here. This is definitely black excellence right here. Look at Sean. This is Sean P. Diddy Combs right here. He was in his bag here. Let me turn here. He was in his bag right here. I'm telling you, Eve is looking scrumptious, and he is looking great. Like, this is like, he's in his bag right here. You hear me? Like, this is Sean Combs. Sean Combs. This is it. This is who everybody remembers, This is it right here. This is it. Like, this is like Sean Combs. This is who we know and loved. I don't know if I ever was like a fan, because I'm from LA and I was, I'm of the generation that was front and center, for the East Coast, West Coast rap tours. And I was a big rap fan. A big Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Warren G, Nate Dogg, the Dog Pound, like everybody in LA. I'm like a total fan of everybody in LA at West Coast rap. So for me, like, I wasn't really Tupac, of course, but like for me, so Sean Combs wasn't really like top of mind for me because it just wasn't part of my like immediate culture. Like I'm just such an LA fillet. Like it just never, crossed my mind to like, do I like him or not? But I was really into the Mace of it all. Like I was a big Mace fan. Like Bad Boy, You Make Me Feel So Good. Like I was do Mace like the ladies, yeah, yeah. Do Puff drive Mercedes, yeah, yeah. Like I was into that. Like oh my gosh. That like I was really, really into that. But like y'all got me out here singing. I was a big Mace fan. I was also a big G-Dep fan. And with Special Delivery, I want that Special Delivery. Yeah. Oh, no, that's Black. Is that G-Dep? That's G-Dep. And then, of course, Black Rob. Whoa. Like, I was so yeah, like, I have my people that but as far as, like, Sean Combs was concerned, I was very aware that he was, like, Bad Boy Entertainment and all of that. But I never saw him as an entertainer. So there, to me, he was just, like, a record executive. Like I never saw him as an artist. I know he tried it, but I just really wasn't into it. So for me, this era, even though I appreciated style always, I was really into style, still am. But for me, I wasn't a fan of his like that, So interesting. I just wanted to show y'all that. It was just very interesting that I ran across that yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to have to show the folks this. But, all right, you guys, that's it for today. We're going to come back. And I told everybody on live, I'm going to cover a plethora of cases that are in the pop culture zeitgeist. So I'm going to be covering the Drake Universal trial. I'm going to be covering the Tekashi 6ix9ine plea agreement trial. He got popped like last week or so because he got popped with some drugs. I believe that this was like a very small amount, but still it was he violated his parole. So he has pled to a certain amount, and so he's going to be sentenced. Don't know what that's going to look like, but I will be covering it. And that's happening in the Southern District. I know that's happening somewhere in Miami, or it could be happening in the Southern District of New York, because I think that's where his parole situation took place. So I think that's happening in the Southern District of New York. And then I will also be covering the Luigi Magnolioni trial when that comes up. I'm already covering the Kohlberger situation, so I'll get with you guys on July 23rd as it relates to the sentencing hearing that's going to take place, since he pled guilty to the 4 murders on last Tuesday or last Wednesday. And then, yeah, I'm going to be covering a lot of these going on. There's also a Rock Nation trial going on that has to do, and I know everybody's very aware, that has to do with Rock Nation executive Desiree Perez. So I'm going to be covering that as well. I will, try to keep my, finger on the pulse of what's going on. So please expect some of those updates within the coming days. And the lives will kind of cover that as well, so I can sort of get everybody up to speed as to what's actually happening with all of those things. All right? So I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you, everybody. Stay safe out there. If you are in the Texas area and you are experiencing the catastrophic weather conditions out there, my prayers are with you. I hope you and your family stay safe. It's just crazy what's going on around the country right now. But thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, drop your questions, drop your comments, drop anything you want in the comment box. Also, do not forget to subscribe and like, so I can continue doing this and continue just talking to you guys. And, we can continue our conversations each day, All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye. This is Cass and Court TV.